Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everyone? It's Cowdy with Money Investing. So I hope you guys are all having a great start to your day. If you guys can see me and hear me without any difficulties, without any issues, just let me know in the live chat. Good evening. Perfect. So yeah, just let me know if you guys can hear me. We've got a lot of earnings to kind of go through because there's a lot of companies that are reporting, and also AMC reported yesterday after the markets closed, and it's up over 10% on the day so far pre-market, just shy of $38 a share. The broader markets are pretty much flat. Like I said in my yesterday's live stream, I think the market is gonna really have this few days like earlier than inflation, a lot of indecision, just going flat, trading sideways, and when that report comes out, it's kind of like the calm before the storm, potentially, and then tomorrow we've got the inflation numbers coming out, which are going to be perhaps the most important ones for the markets as well. So this right here is the earnings from today. So we got FuboTV, we got Coinbase, Upstart, Unity Software, Pubmatic. Those are the companies that I'm personally interested in a lot, unless you guys are watching something that's also being reported on the day. But pre-market, we had NanoX Imaging reporting. I believe that is the company name, NanoX. And I think it was down close to 3% last time I checked. So roughly down 3% on earnings. But all right, so we're gonna go over some earnings here before the market opens, and of course, if anybody joins, they can kind of go back on those earnings calls. And there's a few pieces of articles that I wanted to break down very quickly as well. So AMC's first. So the narrower than expected loss, but CEO warns theater chain is not yet out of the woods. So they actually reported some really strong numbers. So you'll notice that AMC said that it could post a profit as soon as the fourth quarter of this year if the domestic box office reaches at least $5.2 billion in sales. AMC's journey through this pandemic is not finished, and we are not yet out of the woods, Adam Aron basically said on Monday. However, while there are no guarantees that what the future will bring in a still infection-impacted world, one can look ahead and envision a happy Hollywood ending to the story. And they also mentioned that they are going to be including a new payment option such as Bitcoin, and an increased variety of content offerings such as sports and pre-taped concerts. So that Bitcoin news is actually really interesting. Like, I did not see that coming. So, because they've got a big number of users. Every quarter they've got a lot of millions of people basically going into the theaters for sales. So that Bitcoin as a new payment method was very interesting from the company. So at the end of June, all of AMC's 593 US theaters were open to the public, and 335 of its international theaters, or about 95%, were operational. AMC said 22 million guests visited its theaters during the second quarter. That was an increase from the 7 million guests that returned to theaters in the first quarter, but of course much lower than the 97 million that they actually did in second quarter of 2019. So first quarter 7 million, but that's still a really, really strong increase quarter over quarter, right? From 7 million to 22 million people. That really goes to show that people are starting to go back into the theaters. So there is definitely demand, and we're gonna see how that progresses over time. So here's the actual results. So losses came in at 71 cents versus 91 cents. That was the expectation. So beating expectations when it comes to the negative EPS per share. Revenue came at 444.7 million, much better than the expectation at 382. So that's that. And then reading further, you'll notice that they also entered an agreement with Warner Brothers to showcase all the studio's 2022 slate in theaters for 45 days. That was also a really, really strong partnership for the company. Yes, so we're going to go over Tattooed Chef. We'll go over Neo Palantir as well. Fisker, yes, Fisker is running. I think they got a ridiculously upgraded price from like a bank on Wall Street. But yes, I did look at it. I think it was up like 10-15% or something pre-market. But I just want to get through all the earnings, and then we'll kind of jump over to individual stocks and go over some market updates as well. So look at this. June 30th, AMC had about $1.8 billion in cash, around $2 billion in liquidity available. That's a lot of cash, right? And of course, a lot of it basically was held because of how much they were able to raise with the stock price being so high, and they were able to raise more capital by issuing some of the equity. So very, very strong number, very healthy balance sheet for AMC moving forward. AMC is starting to put the cash it raised to work by buying or renting new theaters and upgrading its already existing locations with better seating and amenities. So that's really good. AMC is expected to reopen these theaters in August as well. So these are the Grove was the second highest grossing cinema, and the theater in Americana with the fifth highest grossing cinema in the Los Angeles area. So that's going to be reopening up in August as well. Adam Aaron, who is the CEO, said the company was in the process of signing leases for as many as 10 more locations, and leases or letters of intent have been signed for 6 cinemas so far. So it's overall the company is moving in the right direction. I think it's good that they've been able to raise more capital, and they are kind of moving in the right direction with what they're doing, and of course with the reopening of the economy, that's really helping them as well. So again, AMC has a resistance at $40. In my opinion, as they've actually improved their balance sheet, this is also kind of really becoming a fundamental play. If it does come down to some of those prices, I think the valuation will look reasonable considering the growth story behind AMC moving forward as we reopen the economy and as people kind of go back to those old behavioral habits as well. That's a real question, right? Is streaming going to really be a factor in AMC's growth moving forward, or if people are going to go back to the theaters as well? That's the real question, right? It's the behavioral question. Same with airlines, cruise lines. Well, airlines is something that you actually need. Cruise lines more so if people are going to start going on cruises once again or not. All right, so we covered AMC. Which ones do you guys want next? I've got Coinbase, Upstart, Unity, and FuboTV. I believe I've got those 4 stocks that I'm personally interested in, unless there's any other stocks that are reporting earnings that you want me to cover. But those are 4 stocks we're going to cover, and whichever you guys want, we can go over that first. So Palantir is not reporting earnings today. We'll go over Palantir's when they're reporting earnings, right? They're reporting on Thursday before the market open. I will be live to cover that. All right, so Unity Software. Let's just go over that one very quickly. So this right here is going to be Unity Software. So the consensus EPS is going to be negative 12 cents per share. The consensus revenue is about $242 million. And besides, gaming investors are on the lookout for the company's real-time 3D technology, thereby bringing new customers outside of its gaming to its platform. Unity also had some issues with, I believe, Apple, with the App Store, with the Epic game and all that different things that were going on. So right now, Unity Software does trade at a little bit of a rich valuation. If you take a look at the price to sales, right now it's trading at 35 times sales. So it's a little bit rich, but again, there is growth for this company as well. And it, of course, has been selling off from its all-time highs. And right now we're just consolidating and kind of stabilizing at a more fair valuation, in my opinion, closer to like this $92 level support. And the resistance at close to $114 per share. So, all right, next earnings we're going to be looking into is going to be Coinbase. So Coinbase, of course, had a huge breakout. We've been buying this stock in the early 215s. Again, if you're part of the Discord, we had the alert sent out at $215, $216. Those were some of the levels that we were watching very closely, and after that we saw a strong breakout from that level with a nice 32% jump here also for Coinbase. So Coinbase, Upstart, Mora, all these trades have done really well in the last few days. Upstart also is now starting to break out moving forward. So we'll see if he actually does hold up over 134.50 or if he come back down from that supply as well. So support level is going to be at 254. That's going to be the support for Coinbase, and of course I've got a target at close to 302, $300 per share. That is the next resistance for Coinbase moving forward. So going over the earnings very quickly, we've got an EPS. So this was a little bit confusing to me when I was reading this. You'll notice that they are expecting $2.33 in EPS and a $1.75 billion in earnings, which was on $1.75 billion in revenue. Okay, so that makes sense. So year-over-year growth we don't know because they obviously were not public in the second quarter of 2020, so last year. But Briefing.com consensus estimate is a little bit more aggressive at $2.57 in EPS for Coinbase, revenue at $1.83 billion. So that is their revenue guidance for the company as well. So Caddy's technical analysis, the stock will either go up or down. Well, it's a probabilities game, so it's all about odds, right? Nobody can really tell you exactly where the prices are going to go. It's all about how you kind of figure out those odds and kind of put them in your favor. That's all it's about. So Again, we're not, technical analysis is not here to predict prices. If it's never about predicting prices in general, right? There are specific patterns like an ascending triangle, symmetrical triangle, like a rising wedge, falling wedge, like head and shoulders. Like all these patterns kind of give you certain odds of something happening, right? So it's all a probabilities and an outcome game, and you just have to manage your risk along the way, right? So that's all it's about. Is Coinbase overbought, and would it be wise to sell now and buy again when it gets lower? So right now it's not quite overbought yet. You'll notice that we were seeing a little bit of a bullish divergence here, and of course it's had a huge run up higher. My target is at closer to $302. That is the next resistance. But if you're already in, and again, depending whether this was a swing trade or a long-term investment for you, that's a decision that you need to kind of make for yourself. But if this was a swing trade, I wouldn't kind of hold on to this, basically estimating that it's going to get up to $302. Maybe consider trimming a little bit, having a stop limit someplace here at that support at $255, $265. And then kind of let the rest run back up to $302. But again, if this is a longer term investment, then you really need to kind of dig in deeper on the valuations and what your fundamental analysis is on the stock in general. So Coinbase, we covered. Unity Software, we also covered. Let's just go over this side of the trade. I also wanted to go over Apple. So the Apple is going to be reporting, they are going to be announcing the new iPhones, and there are going to be some new actual features or adjustments moving forward. There's a lot of things here that I've highlighted. We don't have to go all of those, but new iPhones will include a faster A15 chip and a smaller notch, also known as a display cutout. They're also going to be making some tweaks on the camera. So the new handsets will include a video version of the phone's portrait mode feature and the ability to record video in a higher quality format called a ProRes. And last year, of course, they introduced 5G wireless. It includes different sizes, but this year the hardware apparently is going to stay the same. So it will retain the same 5.4 inch and 6.1 inch regular sizes, and 6.1 and 6.7 for the Pro screen dimensions as well as their designs. So that was really interesting information for Apple iPhones. This right here is going to be FuboTV, so we got about 3 minutes left, and we're going to break this down and then jump over to the broader markets as well. So Timothy, sometimes it's a pattern whereby masses follow ascending triangle, head and shoulders, and when masses follow, it increases the probability and visibility as well. That's true. That's true, and that's why the technical analysis. If more and more traders are watching that same pattern, the likelihood of something happen even increases, right? So again, it's all about kind of figuring out what those odds are and making sure that you're taking asymmetric trades, right? You're not risking too much. In other words, low risk, high reward trades, right? If you're risking $1, you should at least be able to make $2 or $3 or $5 on that trade. So those are asymmetric bets that you're taking in the markets. All right, so FuboTV, last quarter, the company added more than 42,000 paid subscribers, and you'll notice that they've actually guided for a net loss around 20 to 30K. So they were way too conservative with their estimates, and instead they actually delivered a 105% growth year over year and an 8% sequential quarter over quarter growth as well. One of the things that I do want to point out for FuboTV is that with their sports packaging and these different sort of streaming packages they're offering, the average revenue per user is the one to look at as well. So you'll notice that from first quarter 2019 at $43.43, that went up to $54. Then that went up to $69, and in my opinion, that number continues to go up. If that number continues to go up, that's going to be really good for the company. Any company that offers software as a service, there's a few things that you want from that company. Number one, you want the users to grow. So that's the top line subscribers for FuboTV, which have also been going up. 210 million, 287 to now 590, actually thousand. So these numbers are in thousands. So 590,000, and then you also want those users to spend more money with the company, right? That's going to be explosive growth in terms of number of users, and of course the number of money, the amount of money they're spending on that. So again, paid subscribers 840,000. That's kind of like the guidance at 2021. So we'll see where that number sits. But all in all, I think very excited for FuboTV as well. It had a really strong day yesterday, up over 6.5%, and now we're starting to see that move to the upside pre-market as well, 2%. Next resistance is going to be at closer to $35 a share for FuboTV. All right, so now we're going to actually jump over to our charts and talk about individual stocks, because the market's going to open in about 30 seconds. And we got NIO pulling back a little bit already. Let's take a look at where Tesla is. All right, what other stocks are we watching? Do we want to watch AMC? Which other stocks would you guys like to watch here? Which other stocks? Let's see. Apple stock will go parabolic the day they announce the Apple car. That's true. That's true. That's what we're waiting for. I think EVs, if they decide to kind of jump in, I think is going to be very, very exciting for Apple. Yeah, let's just look into Coinbase, right? So let's just jump into Coin here. All right, so we got Coin here. We got Tesla at $711. We got AMC. So I think in the first 15-20 minutes we may see a little bit of a pullback, and then the buyers kind of step in. Especially for AMC, I do expect it to have a little bit of a stronger day, considering that it reported some really strong numbers. At least in my opinion, I think the overall report was very good for AMC. They've done an incredible job. And I was also reading in that report that Adam Aron, who is AMC's CEO, hasn't really sold a single share in 5 years. Can you believe that? In 5 years, he hasn't sold a single share of AMC stock. Like, talk about hodling for life. I mean, before any of this even started, he was just like holding on. He didn't even sell anything. That was incredible patience from him. Props to him for absolutely for doing that. Yeah, so Tesla, 7-Eleven. We got Coinbase pulling back a little bit, down almost 1%. So Morgan Stanley set a price target of $40 on Fisker. I thought it was like closer to $90. I did see somebody post that earlier, and also somebody talked about it in our Discord too, that I think it was like at closer to $90. But nonetheless, let's just switch over to the indexes here now. We don't need the ETFs. SPX, we got the Dow, and we got the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is up over 21 basis points. We got S&P that's pretty much flat, and the Dow is also flat. So again, inflation numbers coming out tomorrow. I do expect some more sort of flat sideways trading before we actually see that volatility in the markets. All right, so Etsy is back up to 184, and Roblox was also really, really strong yesterday. It's pretty much flat on the day so far today. Tesla really taking a beating here at the open, down to 708. Energy is kind of recovering a little bit, so you'll notice that Chevron, Exxon, after energy prices kind of slumping earlier yesterday, they're back up slightly, not quite, not back up to $70 a barrel, but still pushing higher. Let's take a look at the main chart here. Let's kind of take a tour of the market. So QuantumScape down, Micron down. Ooh, there's a lot of greens in the market right now. So AMC, of course, Plug Power, and NDM also pushing higher. Tattooed Chef is up, back up to $21. Look at Upstart. Upstart finally breaking out over 140 here. So Upstart doing really well with that potential breakout. And did we break Upstart's earnings? I don't think we did. Here, let me see if I can find it. So Upstart is also reporting after the markets close. So here it is. For the second quarter 2021 earnings, EPS is expected to be about 25 cents per share. And the consensus revenue estimate is at 157 million. So I'm really expecting Upstart to give us some more guidance when it comes to their auto business, which they are potentially going to be tapping into and using their AI services or AI artificial intelligence to kind of underwrite some of those loans as well. So I think that is going to be very, very interesting, right? Because there is significant demand for that. And for auto loans, I was also looking into how the credit or the credit scores for auto loans have been deteriorating over time. This was a very small detail that was brought up by Kathy Wood when we were like looking into the market commentary from her. She basically mentioned that the demand for autos has been slowing down. They've been selling less units, and this is only the US number. This is not a global number. Only in the United States, they've been selling fewer units of electric vehicles and just auto sales in general. And that could be as a result of demand slowing down. We've seen significant rally for used car prices, rental car prices, and that will of course be reflected in tomorrow's inflation report. So super excited about that. Tomorrow we will be live earlier. So today we were live at closer to 9:15 a.m. Eastern. Tomorrow we'll be live at around 8:15 a.m. Eastern, so about an hour earlier. So make sure that you guys have those notifications on there. So NEO having that push higher. Let's just put a Fisker over here. See what that stock's doing. Up another 27%. Look at that. Had a really strong pre-market gain here. Well, after hours, you'll notice that right at 4:05 p.m. Basically, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can't. So let me just put that over here. So Fisker goes up top here, and then NEO will come to the bottom left. So yeah, Fisker over here, you'll notice that right after hours, there's a huge rally. They didn't report earnings yesterday, did they? I don't think they did. There was only like a upgrade. Let me see if there's available on headlines here. So okay, August 6th they reported, which was Friday, so last Friday. They reported a net loss widened to 16 cents a share from 2 cents per share about a year ago. They beat expectations, which was at 22 cents per share. The revenue was $27,000 in June. In June period, yeah, for the second quarter. No revenue figures for 2020 quarter were provided. So, all right, let's take a quick look in the. Can't find the upgrade here. Let me see if I can find Fisker. All right, so there it is. All right, we're just gonna bring this. All right, so Fisker jumps as Morgan Stanley sets $40 target price, makes case for $90. Okay, that's what it was. They actually made a case for $90. So they actually put an overweight rating and a target of $40 and upside of 166% on the stock. Monday's close at $15. The analyst also set a new $90 bull case target on the company. The analyst views Fisker's focus strategy on design, engineering, and supply chain as a big attraction. He views the company as one of the only EV-related startups to launch on time with Ocean. The SUV is scheduled to launch in late 2022. Jonas believes Fisker's tie-up with Magna Steyr will help in contract manufacturing, accelerate the time to market, will provide a path to scale and profitability when the demand begins to exceed supply of EVs. Interesting. But I mean, it's a great catalyst for the stock. But I would still like to take a look at that report as to what the $90 bull case represents in terms of numbers, right? Actual how many deliveries, units, revenues, margins, like all those different things. So I'd be interested to look at that. All right, so NEO is really starting to push higher here, up over 2%. All right, let's take a look at Alibaba here. So inflation report, what time usually? Jason, that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So here, let me pull that up very quickly. So we've got our calendar over here. So all right, that's going to be the calendar here. So we got 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Wednesday, August 11th, and then on Thursday, same time, we've got the PPI report. So consumer price index and producer price index, both of those come out tomorrow at 8:30. Alibaba 197, up just over 1%. The earnings were really good, but we're still kind of struggling to break past over $200 once again. So what are your thoughts on the inflation number tomorrow? So I'm expecting a little bit of an increase. I mentioned this in our yesterday's live stream that I am expecting an increase in inflation. Right now it's sitting at 5.4%. So I am expecting it to go up a little bit, but I'm expecting the number to start going up at a decelerating pace, meaning that last month it was an increase of 90 basis points. This month I'm expecting that number to maybe go up by like 0.5% or less year over year. So if that happens, we could see the first signs of some slowing down in price increases. And again, we'll kind of break down exactly the reasons as to why we're seeing that increases, right? So far, year over year, there's very specific items, including airfare, hotels. We got used cars, we got women's dresses for some reason that have actually gained double digits year over year. Men's pants and shorts. That was like a specific item that's actually gone up like 15-20% in prices year over year. Car rentals have actually skyrocketed 87% year over year. That's a huge increase. So that was very interesting. So again, we'll kind of take a look at those things to really understand what is driving these prices higher and the inflation number higher as well. Do you think the NASDAQ will sell off? I do expect a correction, but again, it's kind of challenging to really predict exactly when that's going to happen or pinpoint a time or a date when that's going to occur. So I do expect a correction just given where the valuations are. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a valuation reset from the markets. But that being said, I don't expect like a full-blown crash in the markets either, right? So that's a great question. I mean, who was renting a car last year during the lockdown? So these numbers are not, when you look at year-over-year comparisons, these are not numbers from last year. These are numbers that you're seeing recently in 2021, right? As we have reopened the economy, at least in the US, as people go out there and start going out and start renting cars and so on and so forth, start spending money, you see the price increase, and then you compare that price versus where it was last year. That's what you see, the year-over-year increase. So it wasn't last year, it was last year the prices were low, and now prices are higher, so that year-over-year increases is what we see in the inflation report. So next year in 2022, we're gonna be comparing those prices to this year, right? So that's when it's going to start to slow down, at least in my opinion. We're not going to see another 80% increase in car rental prices or another 50% increase in used car prices, right? Because we're comparing with 2022. Same thing happened with Amazon this year. Amazon, same thing exact happened, right? Last year was a great year for them. They reported strong numbers. And now this year, same. Pinterest, Etsy, Amazon, these companies are going through really tough comps, right? When you compare them same time last year, they are going through some really difficult comparisons to break, right? There's only so much 30% growth rates Amazon can generate. They have been doing it for the last like 10, 12 years. But again, they're generating over $100 billion. There's a significant law of large numbers that they're going to run into now. I mean, they can't keep growing 100 billion, 30% plus every single year. That's insane. If they keep doing it, that company will be absolutely ruling the world in the future. Next year it will look like we're in a deflation. Yeah, I mean, we could see a little bit of a slowdown and start pulling back as well. All right, so quick updates on stocks here, and then we'll jump over to your guys' preferences and if there's any stocks you want me to go over. Palantir now up over $23. That's good. We're seeing that breakout potentially. Next target is going to be closer to $27. Earnings are reported on Thursday before the markets open, and we're up over 1.5% on the day so far. AMC up over 5.5% on earnings from yesterday. We broke it down earlier. You're more than welcome to kind of go back and watch those earnings and then jump over to the live stream. But starting to pull back a little bit intraday. Fisker, of course, running higher. Price target from Morgan Stanley at closer to $40. They also made a bull case of close to $90, up over 27%. But in my opinion, you have to be very careful with these, right? You have to, again, this is like a pre-revenue, no revenue company based on complete concepts right now. Until they actually start delivering, that's when I'm going to be very, very interested in this company. NEO, up over 1.3%, starting to break out. So that's good. We just need to hold above $44 on the day, and we'll see if we actually do that. AMD, of course, seeing another slump down to $106.77, pulling back a little bit. And let's take a look at APPS. So Digital Turbine is also starting to see a pullback here. It was up quite a bit after the earnings. So you'll notice that we were actually up over 8%. Pre-market, we were pretty elevated at $68. It just feels like a lot of profit taking for Digital Turbine here right now, down over 5%. I feel like the market's really changed while we were talking. All right, Nano Dimensions really pushing higher on the day. So back up to $6.88. DraftKings is up over 2.5%, so that's good. I actually wanted to buy some DraftKings this morning. Completely forgot about that. Tattooed Chef up to $21. We got Shopify back up to $15.68. So Fiverr is also pushing higher, so that's good. NEO is up. And the ones that are red, Micron, Coinbase is pulling back as well, down almost 3% before earnings. And Mara also pulling back, I feel like. I just saw that. So Vertex is down, and Mara also down roughly 2.3%. Let's take a look at some SPY holdings here very quickly. So we got DraftKings that's up the most. Then we got ExxonMobil, Chevron kind of bouncing off from that yesterday's sell-off. Then we got a lot of recovery plays such as Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian cruise lines that are pushing higher, up anywhere between 30 basis points versus 1%. Facebook, Google, of course, nothing can really stop those companies. They just keep going higher. Amazon is up. And then we got Square is up slightly as well. Bitcoin still hovering around 45,500, and the VIX is also coming down over 1% here, trading as low as 1650 levels. And overall, again, the market's pretty much as flat as it gets. All right, if there's any stocks, we'll go over that very quickly and break down some of the analysis on those. If you guys have any questions about them, happy to break them down. Upstart, look at that, coming down to that support right here. That is a support, right? So why there are companies announcing their quarterlies before market opens and some announce after market close? It's just how it works. I mean, some companies prefer to do it before the market opens, some do it after. All right, Upwork. I was actually looking at this stock earlier today. This is actually hovering right around that 200 simple moving average, so it is coming down to a really strong support. But I'm watching closer to this $40 level for Upwork. I think I did look into their actual revenue. So this right here was July 30th. So non-GAAP EPS came in at 5 cents, we're at 27 cents. Report second quarter financial results. So revenue 124 million versus 120, that was the expectation. So beating estimates there. And sees Q3 revenue at 125 to 127 million. So that was also a strong guidance. And Q2 loss per share at 13 cents. Sees Q3 non-GAAP diluted EPS in a range of 1 cent to 3 cents. So profitable quarter they're expecting moving forward. And they're also expecting a revenue in the range of 490 to 494 million dollars. So again, 200 SMA, they are kind of hovering around that support, but I think they're trading at 19 times sales. Last time I checked, I could be wrong. 12 times. So they're trading at 13 times sales almost. So it's a little bit high in my opinion. So just I'd wait. This has a lot of potential, similar to Fiverr. I think Upwork, Fiverr, they are in the freelancing gig economy, so to speak, have a lot of potential. But it's just that they need to kind of prove themselves. Well, Fiverr has been doing really well as well. But just the valuation needs to come down to make it more desirable. So $40 is going to be the support level here. It's kind of bounced off of that level a couple of times in the past. So that's the support I'm watching. But of course, the RSI is coming down. It has a little bit more room to the downside, and the MACD, of course, has been selling off as well. All right, let's take a look at SoFi, see how that's doing. So SoFi getting rejected now at that 50 exponential moving average, right? So 1667, like kind of this level is going to be a near-term support, but there is going to be resistance at that 50 EMA. Like you'll notice exactly we're getting tagged at that 50 EMA, and we're now starting to see a little bit of a pullback once again. So that right there is going to be the resistance that we need to break out of, and support level is going to be sitting as low as 1430, even as low as this 1465 level. Overall, Caddy, if you had $1,000, what are you buying? That's a great question. Right now, it really depends. Right now I'm not looking for anything growth related, only because I feel like the valuations are just too high, in my opinion. So a couple stocks that I've actually been buying has been Walgreens. We actually have been buying a little bit of Walgreens lately because of the dividend that they offer, and just the amount of capital appreciation I see for that company moving forward, right? It's already down so much. Price to earnings, price to sales make a lot of sense. Like it's really cheap. 1,000 buy food. Yeah, definitely need more of that. So yeah, Walgreens I've been buying. Let's see what else. We've been taking a couple swing trades. So we did buy a little bit of Mara not too long ago, of course. And then I think better value plays. Intel has a lot of value at the moment where it's trading. I think Corsair Gaming still remains very, very undervalued in this market. It really is like you have to really pick and choose in this market, because there's a lot of stocks that are significantly rich right now. They're trading at a premium. Let's just put it that way. They're trading at a premium. And there's a lot of stocks that are still undervalued that you can find in this market. So it really, you have to kind of pick and choose, and you have to really select specific stocks that you're interested in this market. Right, so NEO now getting that dump. It's now in the red. Tesla is, let's take a look here. Look at that. Tesla now coming down to $703, $704, right down over 1.3%. So next support for Tesla is going to be $700 a share. That's going to be very important for the company. We got AMC just hovering sideways. Palantir also starting to see a pullback. Let's go over to the 5-minute chart. I want to see what happened to the NASDAQ here. So earlier NASDAQ basically gapped up, then started pulling back, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a pullback here once again. If you look at the S&P is actually doing the exact opposite. It gapped up, pulled back, and now is pushing higher, and I bet the Dow Jones is now rallying. Yeah, I mean, seeing a little bit of a pullback here ahead of the inflation report tomorrow. All right, let's go over Mara here. So Mara pulling back here, down over 4%, and this was again very, very normal. This was something that we were expecting. You know, the RSI was overbought, the MACD was overbought. Our target, next target, was at 38.75. Yesterday we got up to as 37.77, so about $1 shy of our target, and it's now starting to see a pullback, which is again very normal. Like, you can almost understand why these stocks would pull back, right? AMD, same thing, right? It was overbought, and 122. I mean, regardless of how bullish I was on AMD, and I did not expect AMD to hit 122, I was expecting more like 110. That was my price target. I still wanted to address that it's overvalued at 122. Like, it should not be trading at 122. But hey, you know, this is the market. This is what makes the market, right? The MACD was overbought, the RSI was overbought. I think so. This correction or this pullback that we've seen is warranted for AMD as well, and then for Mara, I think we're just starting to see that pullback. So 32.69 is going to be the next support that I'm watching, and then for Riot, let's take a quick look. So Riot, we haven't really been following this stock all that much, but I think $40 is going to be a strong sort of resistance that we are getting rejected at, and support. I think a stronger one could be at these levels, maybe. Because it has like a lot of gap ups and gap downs because of how Bitcoin trades. So it does, you know, gap up and then gap down as well. So I'd watch like 35.75 for Riot. Walgreens, if you want to start a position at 39. 39? I mean, 39 would be like an absolute steal, in my opinion, for Walgreens. Yeah, 39 would be, that's a support that I have on the chart. So yeah, if you do see that pullback, I mean, that would be like a 17% drop, more, closer to 18% drop for Walgreens. So all right, let's take a look at this one. Microvision, was it? Somebody mentioned. So Microvision also kind of bouncing off of that 200 SMA here, right? It's actually had a recent rally of 38%, so that's good, really, really strong. They also reported their earnings. Trade Desk is up 8%. Oh, that's incredible. That's awesome. All right, so right here, Microvision Q2 loss widens despite revenue boost, cash increases. So total revenue rose to $746,000 from $587. The company ended second quarter with about $135 million in cash, compared with $16.9 million at the end of. This is a huge increase. Just look at that increase. Did they actually raise? I bet they raised more shares. There's no way the company can raise cash that quickly in just 2 quarters from 17 million to 135 million. I don't know, might have to read a little bit more, but did they raise more capital by issuing shares in the past? All right, so right there. So they sell up to $140 million common shares at the market. So I think that was one of the reasons why the cash actually increased substantially. But that being said, I mean, we're still consolidating sideways here between $10 and $24. I think that 200 SMA, if you were to take a swing trade at that level, I think would represent a really solid swing like opportunity to kind of have a really low risk with a potential for a really high reward of close to 100%. This is a really volatile stock as well. All right, let's take a look at Trade Desk. Up 8%. Strong move to the upside after the earnings here from Trade Desk as well. Yeah, so definitely pushing higher even after the split. I think this did a split right there, 10 to 1. They were selling off aggressively prior to the split, so I think it's usually like a different story when a stock is running up prior to the split. After the split, it kind of takes a hit, and then when a stock is down prior to the split, after the split, it basically rallies. So next resistance I'm watching on this company is going to be at closer to $92. That's the next target / the next resistance as well. So yeah, that is going to be the next resistance level, and we have been kind of validating this higher low support as well for the company. So a manager who has worked for Walgreens for 25 years told me never buy Walgreens. The business is bad. Most employees don't buy their company stock. Look at 5-year trend, all trending down. That's a great point. That's a great point. And you know, there's always great understanding that you can actually gather from the actual customers and employees of that business, right? You can understand how well the business is doing. One of the things that I will mention to that point is the last 25 years or whatever time frame you're looking at, we didn't have the new management. We didn't have the new CEO, right? So this is a completely new story in my opinion, and this is more of a turnaround story in general, right? You're looking at a CEO that's coming in from Amazon. She worked at Amazon. She worked at Starbucks. She basically drove their rewards program and the digital transformation that they have. So I think it's warranted that we give her a shot considering how low the valuation is. So the risk, in my opinion, is really low buying at these levels, considering that the price to earnings, price to sales is so low. Which is why, like, when we compare AMD to Intel, I feel like it's not a fair comparison. And the reason is because the last 45-50 years of Intel is not the same Intel that it is today, because it's a new CEO. He's got some new plans, and they're spending a lot of money on infrastructure. We need to know, or we need to see how well the company is going to do over the course of the next 5 to 7 years. However, Lisa Su at AMD, she's got a proven record. She's been doing incredibly well with management and how well she's grown AMD to what it is today. So I was actually watching a video. How many of you guys have actually heard of, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Aswad Damodran. He's like Stern School of Business. He teaches courses on valuation. If you guys watch his video, I was watching his video earlier today. He always talks about, when he talks about valuations, it's a combination of numbers and stories. It's a combination of numbers and stories. It's not just numbers. We can't just look at the financial data and how the company's performed for the last 10 years and expect that that's going to be the growth rate moving forward. It's always about the story too, right? What is the story behind that company? Yeah, I know it's such a boss name. If you guys look it up, and I will actually pin, you know what? Let me pin a video right now, because I feel like it's a really, really nice video that I feel everybody could get a lot of valuable information on. He teaches at New York Business School a course on valuation. He's pretty well known. I'm sure a lot of people have actually heard of him here. It's only 25 minutes, so I would highly encourage you guys to check it out. It also goes over the different business cycles that we have in business. And kind of, what every company basically goes through, a startup phase, a growth phase, a maturity phase, and then kind of decline phase, and just business cycles in general. So I actually put that comment there. Highly encourage you guys to check that out if you have time. Goes over valuations. So Kevin says, I agree. I work for Walgreens. It's changed a lot in the last year, and it's blown up the business between the vaccines and testing. So it's good. That's great. It's good to know. All right, so let's just cover a few more stocks here. The markets again are not really doing a lot of things. S&P is just up over 19-20 basis points. Yeah, so Pubmatic is a great stock that you brought up, CA miners. So support level that we talked about was at $27, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a push higher. 14-50%. This is also a stock that is being still shorted at the moment. The last time I checked, I think the short interest was still pretty high for this company. Let me see if I can find that very quickly, if you have the new data available. By the way, that's my generator, if you guys can hear that in the back, because the power just went out. I get a lot of people worried what that sound is. Here, let me see if I can. Good old UPS sound. You guys are too funny. Alright, so currently we've got 38% of the current float is sold short. So about 2.62 million shares. It's so hot. It is really hot. Plus, I feel like I'm not feeling too well. I got my second dose of vaccine today, so I'm now fully vaccinated. So that's good. But yeah, I've just been feeling a little under the weather today, I feel like. But Pubmatic, I think it's still, um, the short interest is still pretty high. 38% is nothing small, like 2.6 million shares or something. Is still relatively high, so I think there's still opportunity and for potential for short squeeze on this stock. It's just going to be more of a patience game at the moment. This is a company that the revenue is strong. It's been growing. It's a profitable company as well, right? So it's a profitable company. The balance sheet is really strong. It kind of competes. It does opposite to what we have for Trade Desk as well. So I think there's a lot of potential for this company, which is only trading at about 1.5 billion market cap. So yeah, $27 is going to be a support, resistance at $35.69, all the way as $44. Kevin, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go over, there was another stock that was mentioned, Pinterest. So Pinterest, it's got a huge gap that it needs to fill here. And I'm watching support at close to $53. Rita, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. $53 is going to be the support to watch right there. So previous support, we have gone validated, support validated. The good thing about Pinterest is that the fundamentals are improving. The only issue was like the small decline in monthly users, which is I think normal for a company coming from a post-pandemic scenario. Like again, tougher comps, right? We talked about Amazon, we talked about Etsy as well. So they are seeing tougher comps to beat, which is fine. You always want to invest in a company that has improving fundamentals. The fundamental story is improving, right? It's doing really well. It's growing, and the stock price is doing the exact opposite. It's going down, right? It's just getting beaten down, and it's just getting underpriced from the markets. So, and again, I think I was watching like a video where Jeff Bezos was also talking about how his business, which was at the time Amazon, of course, back in the 90s, was like doing so well. He was looking at all these different trends. He was getting reports, and he was looking at all these different trends, and they were doing so well internally, understanding that the business is improving, and the stock price during the dot-com bubble basically plummeted to like a single digit. I forgot what the number was, but it basically dropped so much from like $90 to like a single digit number during the dot-com bubble, despite the business being so good internally. They understood the fundamentals were improving. So for Pinterest, $53, $54 is going to be a support level to watch right now. And the resistance, again, we got a gap as well as $66 a share. Move to Saftarjung Enclave. What is that? I don't even know what that means. Is that a city? Is that a country? I'm pretty sure I'm not reading that right. All right, let's take a look at. Yes, let's just go over Alibaba very quickly. So this right here is a downtrending channel for Alibaba, right? We're still kind of in the lower highs and lower lows, still struggling to actually reverse that trend. Reversal of this trend is going to be very, very important. If that actually happens, it's going to be like a trade of 2021 or 2022. Whenever that happens, it's going to be one hell of a trade if that actually happens, because there's plenty of upside. I mean, there's like upside of close to over 100% in my opinion, if that ever happens. And again, the reason why it's not, I'm sure we all already know. Oh, it's in South Delhi. It's a city, okay. So yeah, the support level, we've got 180 as low as like 170 levels. Resistance, we got the 50 EMA and this lower high over here. That's the red line you guys see on the chart. So until we see actually that breakout, and of course we got to regain that 200 SMA as well at 232, there is going to be plenty of downside here in my opinion. So again, consolidation, not downside, but we could see some consolidation sideways moving forward as well. All right, let's take a look at Micron. Micron's also a great stock. The only issue I have with Micron, and the reason why I haven't really pulled the trigger on this company, is because of declining revenues. The revenues have actually been going down year over year. Since 2018, you'll notice that we have actually been going down in the revenues. So I've done the analysis on Micron stock fundamentals, financials like EBITDA growth and everything else. I think it's got a lot of potential, but we need those numbers to kind of climb up a little bit. Those numbers need to come up. So Micron is giving dividend now. Okay, so let's take a look if there's any news about that. All right, Micron kicks off dividend payments, shifts to opportunistic share buybacks. Memory chip maker Micron on Monday said it would shift how it returned cash to shareholders, buying up more shares when prices are low, fewer when prices are high, and instituting a dividend for the first time. That's interesting. Not sure if there's actually a number as to how much they're going to be paying. We're changing our buyback strategy to be more opportunistic. So Micron's largest two competitors are memory chips, Samsung. Right, doesn't really say how much dividend they're going to be giving back. So Micron Monday said that it would start adjusting its previously regular share purchases, which have returned about $4 billion in cash to shareholders since 2018, to match those cycles, holding back when prices are high so that it can retire more shares for each dollar spent. Okay, so that's good. I mean, dividend definitely adds more value to shareholders, getting those cash payments. But $74 is going to be a support all the way as well as $69 for Micron. And again, I'll be doing some analysis. I don't know why this could be. I'll have to listen on the earnings call, because dividend when a company is issuing a lot of dividend, it's not usually seen as a sign of growth. Because if you are issuing dividend, if you're paying cash to shareholders, why wouldn't you just use that cash to refuel your growth and kind of grow at a much higher clip, right? That's kind of like the analysis that we need to do if Micron is turning into a value play versus if it's still a growth company, right? So that, in my opinion, is a conversation to have. But all right, look at that. So NEO is down to 1.3% now. We got Tesla following the same exact trajectory, like for minute to minute, we've got down 1.4%. Palantir, AMC is kind of holding up a little bit still, but for the most part, I think the market's really on the growth side of things that really turned a little bit red here. Let's go over to our main watch list. Trade Desk still up, NNDM is up, AMC is pulling back slightly, but still up 6%. We got Crocs that's up, DraftKings is up over 2%. Fiverr is doing well. And Coinbase really pulling back right down over 5%, and so is Mara. So Mara and Coinbase, some of those Bitcoin plays have been doing really well, pulling back on the day so far. All right, let's just go over SoFi. No, SoFi we already went over. Micron we already went over. Yeah, that's kind of interesting because Bitcoin is still holding up. That is interesting because Bitcoin is not really seeing, well, it's still down close to like 1.9%, which in the context of Bitcoin, I feel like it's still pretty reasonable gain or loss, like 1 to 2%. I think that is almost equivalent to like $1,000. So for Bitcoin again, Mara and Coinbase are going to be more volatile than Bitcoin in general, right? Bitcoin was up. Let's take a look. So from July 20th, we've got Bitcoin up 60%. I think Mara was up a lot more than that. So July 20th, we've got Mara from here, it's up over 84%, right? So you're getting that correlation between Mara and Bitcoin, 84% to 59, 60%. So it's more than one correlation, right? So it's not a one-to-one move. It's like 1.2 or something, 1.3 versus one move between Mara and Bitcoin. All right, so do you know where to check the short interest on a stock? You can actually check it on Wall Street Journal. If you just come over to WSJ.com, there's plenty of websites you can actually check it for free. I usually just come over here to this magnifying glass, and if you can just type in on the stock, hopefully this doesn't kind of give us a lag, and then you can just type in the stock here, and then if you can scroll down, it'll show you right here. So 38% of the flow short interest as of July 15th. How many shares sold short, the percentage change from last month, and then of course 38%. That's the total percentage of float. So 2.62 million shares sold short off of 6.87. That's the public float. That's how much available to actually trade in the public markets for that company. The shower through. Welcome on board to our live stream. All right, let's see. Again, if there's any other stocks you guys want me to go over, we'll do this for like maybe another 5 minutes, and then we'll call it. Yeah, I think it's the generator again, because of another power outage. Shouldn't be a problem. RGR. All right, let's take a look at that stock. So RGR seems like really low volume. Again, you guys know kind of like the filters that I look for is at least 1 million average volume. Right now it's starting at 169,000. So it's going to be really, really difficult to actually understand what's going on, right? If you look at the 5-minute chart, the pattern looks like this. If I go over to 1 minute, it's going to be really distorted, right? You can't really analyze this because of the volume, right? If there's no volume, you can't really trade this stock. But the fundamentals look decent, right? It's starting at 10 times earnings, 2 times sales. So that's good. Balance sheet, decent here. Cash sitting at just over 173 million versus pretty much no debt. Cash flows have been growing year over year, so that's also good. Coming in from 67 million. Well, they've been kind of up and down. 109 million, then dropped down to 29, then back up to 91. So cash flows have been kind of all over the place. But fundamentally, I mean, this stock looks reasonable at the moment. I might have to do some more research, and it has like a really kind of volatile price action as well. So at the moment there is going to be some resistance at close to this level, at the $90 level for this company, but again I would prefer something that has more volume than something like RGR, which is only 169,000 shares, and the market cap is 1.47 billion at the moment. But that right there is going to be the resistance to watch. Support level, I feel like it's going to be closer to $78. All right, let's go over some other stocks. So Chargepoint. So Chargepoint, let's see how that's doing. Yesterday, I think it was up quite a bit. So Chargepoint is now getting rejected at that 50 EMA. So we're getting tagged at that $26 level on the day. So you'll notice that we are right now coming back down 74 basis points, which is again not a big deal, considering that we actually have rallied from 22 up over 16-17% for the stock. So I'd watch support level at closer to $22 once again if you do get a retracement down to that level. And of course the resistance sits at the 50 EMA all the way as high as this resistance at 32.60. That's going to be the next resistance or the next target to watch. All right, let's go over Netlist. Thank you, by the way, for that. I appreciate it. NTLST. So volume 1.9 million, so that's good. Revenue seems like it's been recently growing since 2019, 2020. 87 times earnings, and we got 16 times sales, which is a little bit rich. I would ideally prefer something that's less than 30 times earnings and less than 10 times sales, preferably under 7 times sales. Balance sheet as of the most recent quarter. So debt just over 17 million, cash well over 54 million. So annual cash flows have been all over the place. Again, negative 11, negative 10, negative 11, negative 8. So it's just not really a healthy sort of trend in that space. If you take a look at the current ratio, 1.95, that's good. Current assets are almost 2 times as more as current liabilities. Gross margin 66%. So I'm assuming that this is like a software company. I'll have to take a more semiconductor company. Okay. So engaged in design, manufacture, sale of memory subsystems for the computing communication markets. Strong uptrend for the company as well. Actually, let me go over to the monthly chart before I say that. Okay, so it has been actually declining for the longest time after April 2020, when it absolutely this gain should be astronomical from 10 cents. Yeah, 9,000%. Yeah, so absolutely incredible return here. So support was at close to 10 cents a share, and then we saw a massive rally for the stock. From a monthly chart standpoint, the RSI way too overbought, the MACD is way too overbought, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a pullback here for this company. And this right here was the lower high that we were getting rejected at before seeing that breakout. So I would watch like that 50 EMA moving forward as a support at 267. That is the 50 EMA. We've kind of got validated at that level once, twice, almost 3 times before rallying even higher. So that is going to be the next support level to watch. And of course, a resistance is going to stay put at close to 1044. All right, so I hope that was helpful. We went over that. So again, quick update. Look at the Dow. The Dow is just absolutely rallying here today, up 46 basis points. Again, it's kind of like you go back and forth between value and growth. It's just been happening for so many days. And we got the S&P up over 28 basis points once again. MELI, so Mercado Libre. This is a stock that's been on my watch list for a really long time. I've been interested in this one. Again, e-commerce play in the Latin America. So I'm watching this company, but it's just, I think it's a little bit too, let me see. Yeah, 18 times sales. It's a little bit, and price to free cash flow, 101. It's rich. Again, the biggest problems in this market right now is trying to find something. It's like trying to find like great growth companies at reasonable valuations. Unless you're okay paying a premium, it's kind of hard to go over or basically justify these purchases at these levels. So that is for Netlist. Gotcha. It's too hot right now into profits, but I'm watching if there's a crash coming. Yep. So we actually broke out for this stock, MELI, from like an inverse head and shoulders kind of seems like. So this was on my watch list, and then after the earnings, we actually did rocket a little bit over 13%. So left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. Then we saw that breakout, and the next resistance to watch for this company is going to be at $2,000 or close to 2012, and support is going to be at 1744, 1750 levels. So that is going to be the support level to watch for this company moving forward. And this is a strong company. I think it's got a lot of potential. The revenue growth has been there. The balance sheet I think also looks reasonable. It's just the valuation's a little bit too hot. DDD is climbing. Let's take a look. Look at that, up over 31%. This was actually, somebody was talking to me about this in the Discord. I actually sent out this chart to them. This was a symmetrical triangle. And you'll notice that we've actually gotten tagged at that support so many times, right? Once here, second time here, third time here at the 200 SMA, and now we're seeing that huge breakout. So I'll actually keep a close eye at this resistance that you see, the lower high, that's kind of like the red line at the top. It's going to be sitting roughly at 37.65, 37.50-ish level for this stock. Not to mention that the RSI now is well over 70, and the MACD, of course, is pushing higher aggressively. So it could be a little bit of an overbought from a technical standpoint, but of course, this is jumping on earnings, so I'm assuming the earnings were really, really good. Yes, we talked about AMD, we talked about Upwork, we talked about DDD now. We talked about a lot of different companies, and so what will the share price of Berkshire Hathaway be? Right now it's like there's two different classes, right? Class A and Class B. So Class A is hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Class B is like $150 something a share. Corsair is there a bottom in? So Glenn, I do think so. Again, this is like a really, really low valuation for the company. I think there's very few opportunities in the markets to actually buy stocks of companies. I think Corsair kind of fits that bucket, which is still growing at double digits and trading at a very low valuation. So I think there's support at 20.50 all the way as low as 26.50, and of course resistance is going to be $34, and my price target is well over $75, not for this year, but for the next 4 to 5 years, right? $75 for the next 4 to 5 years. All right, let's go over to skills very quickly. We'll cover that. So skills kind of hovering around that 1220 level, 1220-ish range. 1245 is a resistance here to watch for the stock. So it's going to be aligned with this level here and support at 1084. So again, a lot of weakness from skills. RSI oversold, the MACD is oversold. So if you are a long-term believer in this company, if you believe in the fundamentals and the application and what they have actually to offer, then these are like great discounts that you should be really excited about. Of course, there could be some more downside considering the valuation, given the price to sales is still pretty rich at 19, I think. Yep, so 19.1. So, but support and oversold, technically it does represent some more upside, and we could see a potential retracement back up to the 50 EMA, jump over 33% as well. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining in. Quick update on the markets here. Tesla kind of recovering a little bit, so is NEO. We got AMC pulling back a little bit, still up over 4.5%. Palantir hovering right around that $23 level. We got the S&P and the Dow really showing off, and Nasdaq, of course, down pretty much flat on the day so far. Bitcoin still hovering over 45,000, and the VIX is also pulling back over 1.79%, coming down to that support of 15 levels. So thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope this was helpful. If you found it helpful, please make sure to drop a like. Let's see if we can actually get up to 140 likes. We're at 139. I only need one person to smash that like button. Also, make sure that you check out the Patreon link down in the description below if you want to get access to our private live streams, private Discord, buy and sell alerts, real-time market updates as well. And I will be live, and I will be there in our Discord right now to answer any questions if you guys have any, and go over individual stocks as well. So thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great, profitable green day, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream.